He went down there to cause harm that day, and my brother just so happened to be the one that received it.
A man visiting southern Arizona killed in the middle of the day by a hatchet-wielding suspect. And tonight, for the first time, we're hearing from that man's family as they demand justice for their loved one. Good evening, and thanks so much for joining us. For 12 News at 10, I'm Kariba Devine.
I'm Mark Curtis. The attack happened earlier this month when the man was visiting Tucson with his wife. 12 News journalist Chase Golightly spoke with that man's brother today about this gruesome tragedy. Chase?
Mark Kriebe, the victim in this case, Jake Couch, and his wife, Kristen, were at a Tucson bus stop waiting for their ride to get back home to Alabama when his brother tells me a man came up to him and attacked him.
He was just such a selfless person.
Luke Couch has always looked up to his big brother, Jake.
He was my first idol. I wanted to be just like him growing up.
With Jake always keeping an eye out for him.
Made sure that, I didn't get picked on or anything like that whenever
Now, Luke only wishes he could have been there for him.
I feel so helpless and I wasn't able to do anything.
It was earlier this month when Jake and his wife, Kristen, took a trip to California.
They had a stillborn son a few months back, and they went to Los Angeles to grieve, and they were actually on their way home back to Alabama.
They had to make a stop in Tucson, and while waiting at the bus stop, police say a man came up to them.
The man actually told them to get up, and my brother told him that to mind his own business, like they're not hurting anything.
Couch says the man dressed in all black was drunk.
Really agitated.
So Jake and Kristen decided to get away from him.
My brother turned around and bent down to grab his things, and the man came up behind him and hit him in the neck with a hatchet.
Kristen says the suspect walked away with her husband bleeding on the ground. Jake was taken to the hospital, but after 13 days on life support, he died from his injuries.
I've probably cried more in the past 2 weeks down here than I have in the last 20 years.
The suspect who police say killed Jake is Daniel Michael. Court records reveal security camera footage showed the attack, and when police went to his home, they found the hatchet. Michael was arrested.
He went down there to cause harm that day, and my brother just so happened to be the one that received it.
Luke and his family still can't believe what happened, but he says even after they go back to Alabama to lay his brother to rest, he will come back to Tucson until justice is done.
I made a promise to my brother when he was on life support that as long as I'm alive, I will fight and make sure that my brother gets justice and that this doesn't happen to another family.
A GoFundMe account has been created to help the Couch family with travel and funeral expenses. You can find a link to that on our website. Mark Kriebe.
Chase, thanks. Happening right now, DPS is investigating a crash involving 5 vehicles on I-17. You're looking at some video from Sky 12 showing the crash scene in the southbound lanes near Dunlap, which is right next to Castles and Coasters. Officials haven't said if anyone was hurt. According to DPS, the left lanes on the southbound side of I-17 remain blocked right now as they investigate.
Now to the West Valley, where Buckeye police say that they arrested 4 teens, including a man who brought a gun onto an elementary school campus. Officers responded to Freedom Elementary School just before 4 p.m. for reports of a fight and someone being armed. Police didn't release many other details, but they say they arrested a 15-year-old and 2 17-year-olds who did not attend the school, as well as a 19-year-old who had a gun. Buckeye police say that their investigation is ongoing. New at 10, a lifeline for Arizonans with developmental disabilities. With money running out to pay service providers, the House of Representatives overwhelmingly approved $120 million in state funding May through June. Now, families and advocates for developmentally disabled children and adults had lobbied lawmakers for 3 months. Some even mounted recall campaigns against Republicans. The bipartisan funding deal came together after a long day of negotiations.
This evening, I rise, as do many of our colleagues, not in partisanship, but in partnership with the families across Arizona who care for children with developmental disabilities.
Democratic Governor Katie Hobbs applauded the vote. She had refused to sign any bills until a bipartisan funding compromise was reached. The state Senate is expected to go along with the House vote.
Maricopa County Attorney Rachel Mitchell is starting to talk about which death row inmate could be executed next. Last month, Arizona saw its first execution in more than 2 years. Aaron Gunches was put to death for killing a man in 2002. Mitchell believes the next death warrant could be for a mass murderer who committed his crimes more than 30 years ago. 12 News journalist Bianca Bono is live outside the county attorney's office tonight to revisit this horrible case. Bianca?
Yeah, Mark, Richard Jerf murdered 4 members of the Luna family, ranging in age from 5 to 46. He is one of 22 inmates on Arizona's death row who has exhausted all of his appeals. And we do want to warn you, the details in his case are very disturbing.
There are certain things in your law enforcement career that always sticks with you.
And what Kevin Robinson saw on September 14th, 1993 is one of them.
It was late in the day and I got a call about a quadruple homicide out in West Phoenix.
Robinson, who is now a Phoenix City councilman, worked for the Phoenix Police Department for more than 36 years. He was working as a spokesperson when that call came in, but knowing the case would draw media attention in an unusual move, the homicide sergeant wanted him to see the crime scene.
He felt for me to do it justice in the telling of the story that I needed to see the inside of that scene.
What he saw was pure evil. Seeking revenge for an apparent burglary, Richard Jerf showed up to the home of Albert Luna Jr. and his family, posing as a flower delivery man. When he went inside, Albert wasn't there, but his mother and 5-year-old brother were, and Jerf tied them up. Maricopa County Attorney Rachel Mitchell recalling the details.
He said to the mother, "Do you want to watch your son die, or do you want him to watch you die?"
Then Albert's 18-year-old sister came home. Jerf bound her and sexually assaulted her before stabbing her. The horror continued when Albert's father arrived.
He handcuffed the father to a bed and hit him repeatedly with an aluminum bat. When Jerf realized that Mr. Luna was not dead, he stabbed him and ultimately shot him 6 times.
Jerf then killed the 5-year-old and the mother. It was Albert Luna Jr. who came home to make the horrific discovery.
What Richard Jerf tried to do after he killed the family, he tried to set the house on fire. Our detectives were able to work through that and find him.
Jerf pleaded guilty and was sentenced to death for all 4 murders back in 1996. He's one of 111 inmates on death row in Arizona and one of 22 who has exhausted all of his appeals. It's why Mitchell believes he could be the next person executed.
It has now been 29 years since that death sentence was handed down, and the Luna family deserves justice.
While Robinson says he personally has a difficult time with the death penalty, there are some cases that involve such evil he believes a person needs to be held accountable for their actions.
I will never forget that crime scene. I just won't.
Now, ultimately, the decision to issue a death warrant is made by the Attorney General's office. We did reach out to the AG today asking if they plan to issue that warrant for Richard Jerf, and if so, when they plan to do so. A spokesperson declined to comment. We're live in Phoenix tonight. Bianca Bono, 12 News.
All right, Bianca, thank you. Arizona is among a dozen states that is suing the Trump administration over the White House's tariff policies. The lawsuit calls the tariffs unlawful and chaotic for the economy. Arizona Attorney General Chris Mays called the policies insane and economically reckless. The lawsuit claims that only Congress has authority to impose such widespread tariffs. During a press conference today, a local coffee shop owner explained how these tariffs could hurt his business.
I've been in the restaurant industry for 37 years, and this is going to cost us, and it's going to cost our customers. Some of us aren't going to make it. The industry is certainly going to contract in the next 4 to 5 years.
The White House maintains that these measures address what they call a national emergency decimating America's industries. This lawsuit follows similar legal action from California just last week.
Meanwhile, President Trump signed a series of executive orders today, all of them focused on education. One of them aims to change the college accreditation process, with accreditation being based on merit and results. Trump also signed an order aimed at bringing artificial intelligence into K-12 learning. During the signing ceremony, the president answered questions on tariffs and indicated he may be softening his stance on China's tariff of 145%.
That depends on them. We have a situation where we have a very, very great place. It's called the United States of America, and it's been ripped off for years and years. And in the end, I think what's going to happen is we're going to have great deals. And by the way, if we don't have a deal with a company or a country, we're going to set the tariff.
Those comments come after Trump said this morning that his administration is actively engaging with China on a deal to lower tariffs.